在心悲间，就是灭断障碍日了百里些，因的言般的。三界心对面的没外，这个那么大心了。这不来小一大蒙古人那面的老干的。Darayami. Okay. Mm, Um, mm. So last week we covered two verses. The first one being if you wish to have a higher rebirth in the afterlife, mm, then you must be accustomed or familiar with the right view of the ordinary beings. Um, uh, and then uh, the other thing is that that is one of the verses. So two verses. The first one is that one must be familiar with the right views. Right view, basically, right view of the ordinary beings means not messing up the intricate functions of karma. Mm. Right view of the sublime beings means the ultimate truth. Right view of the ordinary beings basically means not messing up with karma. That was one of the verses that we discussed. Yeah, one of the we read two verses. The first verse is about the right view or the correct view. Correct view means this correct view is not the correct view of the sublime beings, the higher correct view, but the correct view of the ordinary being, lower correct view or the right view. Lower correct view basically means to have a correct understanding of karma. If you have a correct understanding of karma, then you will be free from falling in lower births in your afterlife. Mm. Then the second verse is that the human life is sorrowful, imperfect. So it's very sad, impermanent, um, um, empty or devoid of self-entity, and impure. Those who are not able to place their mindfulness on that, basically those who do not realize that, will suffer and keep on getting rebirth in lower samsara and going around over and over again, basically getting stuck in the samsara. So the first point that all human beings are unhappy or in a suffering mode is because that when when we look at our life, we say, okay, our life is not full of suffering. There is, there are many moments of joy. Um, there are many moments of joy. We celebrate. We have like many things to celebrate, many things to be happy about, this and this and that. But the reality is that all these so-called happy moments in life are just a pause. It just pauses the suffering. It's not a real joy. Real joy, if it's a real joy, then it's everlasting. It's the things that we feel joy. It's just the pausing of the non-joy, or the pause. What we feel pleasant is just a pause of the unpleasant. For example, when we uh, like listen to a very loud music for first, when we listen to the loud music, when we listen to music, we enjoy the music, very loud music, we enjoy it. And after some time, uh, our ears started to, uh, you know, break, and then we come out of the music room, and then the peace that you get after coming out of that loud music, we enjoy that. We feel like this is pleasant, but it's nothing pleasant. We're just getting a pause. We're just getting a pause from the pain of hearing loud music. So the same goes like that when you are going through something. For example, when you come out of the prison, let's say, or something like a painful moment, when you come out of that, or prison or something painful, then you always say, "Oh, I feel so happy today because I'm free from this and this and that." But actually, that moment of joy is not true. It's not essentially there. You are just enjoying the absence of pain, absence of cru how do absence of crude pain, absence of crude suffering. When you experience absence of crude suffering, and in the world, we label the absence of crude suffering as joyfulness. So basically, everything that we supposedly enjoy, let's say marriage, having kids, um, getting graduation, all this thing, yeah, that we supposedly enjoy, getting promotion, all this thing we supposedly enjoy, is just an as a an absent of a previous painful experience that we transcend, and we call that joy. It's not a real joy, because if it's a real joy, then once you get the promotion, then everything should go smoothly. Once you get the wedding, everything should go smoothly. Once you get a child birth, everything should go smoothly. Once you um, get a graduation, everything should go smoothly from there on. It does not. When you get a graduation, you the not getting the graduation part is now absent. When you get a promotion, not getting the promotion is now absent, no more there. When you get when you marry someone, being single is absent. So you are basically experiencing the suffering or the pain of being single, or being not promoted, or being not having a child, and you mistake, or you misconceive that as a pure joy, but it is not. If it's a pure joy, then it should remain pure joy, joyous moment, until that as long as that status remain. If marriage is pure joy, then as long as you are married, you should be always happy. If promotion is pure joy, then after getting promotion, you should always be happy. If money is pure joy, after getting that much amount of money, you should be happy all the time, but you are not. When you get that deal, when you get that promotion, when you get that couple partner, for a brief moment you enjoy, and after that, then you are looking for another form of happiness. So basically that means basically human beings are always running after something joyful, something we call pleasant and happiness. So that means we are always unhappy, because we are always running after happiness. So we are always unhappy in essence, right? if you tell people that we are always unhappy, people will say, oh, you're just being mad, crazy. But if you look at our life in reality, just introspect, look within ourselves, our life is constantly chasing after something pleasant, something nice, something good, something happy moment, like that. Yeah. Therefore, the first statement, human life is uh, painful or sad or sorrowful. And it also coincides with the Buddha's first teaching, the teaching, Buddha's first teaching of the Four Noble, which is Four Noble Truths. The first of the Four Noble Truths is the suffering, the truth of suffering. So it coincides with that as well. So that's the first one, but that's the most important one. The second one is that life is impermanent, and I think so. Everybody knows that life is impermanent, that nobody lasts forever. Mm. Any of us that is anyone in this room, anyone who is watching this live cast from 100 years from today, nobody will be present. Nobody will be there anymore. That's 100% sure. Some of us will um, depart even before that, but within 100 years, no one. People uh, very sure, yeah, like that. So life is impermanent, and then those of us who are in this room, uh, not just we're not only talking about death. People who are in this room, if you look at yourself, your life or yourself, 5 years, 5 years ago, mm, and now today, so many things have changed. Uh, uh, like your the place that where you live, the car you drive, the bank balance, the friends that you have, um, like external things. Now, if you go a little bit internal, uh, the external of the internal, meaning something to do with yourself, personal, but still outside of you, like your body, external things, your body has changed. And then internally, personally, not only in external, but if you go deep down inside, internal, then your mind has changed. What you are thinking, what you're believing, let's say 5 years, and now what you are believing, what you are thinking, a lot of things have changed. Fundamentally, maybe not much have changed. People usually tend to believe or do what they were doing since they were at a young, tender age. Whatever has been inbuilt at that tender age kind of remains. Fundamentally, we may not have changed much, but if you um, do a thorough investigation, even fundamentally, our thoughts have changed a lot. For example, we all believe ourselves, we all regard ourselves as Buddhist, and then we follow the Buddha Dharma. Now, if you look at how we perceive, how you perceive Buddha Dharma, the Buddha, the Sangha, Buddha's teaching, everything 5 years ago, and now what your understanding of the Buddha Dharma is, what your understanding of emptiness is, what your understanding of karma 5 years from now, 5 years before and now, there's a big change. And then if you keep studying, if you keep practicing, if you keep meditating, then your understanding of emptiness, understanding of Buddha Dharma will progress from what it is right now. So basically, our life is full of change, impermanent. Mm. So intellectually, we are all aware that things change, but instinctively, whenever we see things, whatever we do, every decision is made thinking that things will not change. Yeah. When we have a friendship, we think it's for granted forever. When we have an animosity with someone, enemy, we think that enemy will be our enemy for life. Yeah. When we like something, we think that is the best thing. When we dislike something, we think this is the worst thing. So every decision that we make, we are so extreme in either being sort of attached towards it or totally against it. Why? Because we instinctively we feel, intrinsically we have this feeling that things are permanent. Mm. Intellectually, if you ask a question, oh, nothing is nothing is permanent. Everything changed. We are so eager and ready to say that. But in reality, we always feel as everything that we do, everything that we say, everything that we sort of prepare speaks otherwise, like that. So impermanence of the person. So I know this is last week's class, but I'm going through that because it's very sort of complicated, okay? And it kind of it's also related to what we are going to talk today. So the next one is that devoid of self, lack of self, or lack of intrinsic existence. So basically, self. So Buddhism is synonymous with the no self. When we talk about Buddhism, we always talk about no self, no self, no self. And the big thing about no self is because the religion or the sort of the belief system predating Buddha Dharma, Buddhism, it always talks about the self, the Atman, right? Um, Even many religion that came after Buddhism, like Christianity, also talks about the self in the form of the soul. And the religions that predated Buddhism, there are many traditions, okay, that that predate Buddhism. Buddhism is not the first religion in the world, first belief system in the world. So anyway, those belief system always talks about the a soul or a self. So when we okay, first of all, when we say the self, there are two types of self: the self of the person, the individual, and the self of everything else. What we usually call in the Buddhist circle, what we usually call in the sutras, the self, no, the person, and um, um, actually the Tibetan the words for and in Tibetan is very simple. We call it person and the persons, like the personal, like the individual and the individuals. Da da giwa. Da means the self or the person. So the Tibetan word for the self and the person and me are all same. So therefore, then da means me, okay, and dagiwa means mine, me and mine, the person and the persons. Okay, so therefore, in this regard, the self of the person and the self of the persons, the self of the individual, the self of the individual, and the self of the individuals. Okay, maybe it doesn't make much sense. So basically, in other words, to make it more simple, let's call it this way: the self of me and the self of mine. Hmm. Uh, Self basically means on its own, right? Myself means on my own. Itself means on its own. Uh, um, so basically, everything predating Buddhism, all the religion, all the other faith, all the philosophy talks about everything have everything coming into existence, functioning, doing things on its own by itself. Especially the person. There is a very strong belief in the system of the self. Uh, so a lot of the faith says that everything has a self of its own, and some of the philosophies say that like trees, rocks, inanimate objects don't have a self, but a person has a self. The person has a self, so therefore the person controls all the inanimate objects. So a person can carry a rock and throw it, cut a tree, etc., etc. So a person has a soul, and the person moves on its own. Everything else does not. And some of the philosophy says, everything moves on its own, has a self on its own. And Buddhism is the only religion, even now today, that the Buddhism is the only belief system that says there is no self at all. There is no self of me, and there is no self of mine. Mine meaning everything. When we say mind, I'm not talking to me, Tongkhor Rinpoche. I'm saying me means the person who enjoys, who experiences the person, and mine means everything that is experienced by the person, me and mine. In to put it more precisely in English, the term would dadang dagiwa. To put it more precisely uh, in English would be pro property and the proprietor. The person and the things that the person experiences, enjoys, belongs to, etc. Like that. Anyway, so the idea is that there is no self, either with the me, the person, and the mind, which is everything that I experience, I go through, me and the other, me and mine. None of these have an intrinsic existence. None of these has a self. None of this has a soul. None of it's move on its own. None of it's uh, acting or doing things or functioning on its own like that.
Yeah.
Everything is interdependent. Nothing moves on its own. Nothing is activating on its own. Without correlating with another object or another being or another thing, there is no movement, there is no thought, there is no process, there's no function at all. That is the belief in Buddhism.
Yeah.
So that no self is directly related to today's teaching. And then that it's impure, the human life, the body basically. When we talk about human beings, we always identify with the body, right? I think we discussed that last week. When we see my body, or basically when you see my image, the image of my body appear on this top, then you say, "Oh, I'm here." So when I see the image of your body, any of you, then I know you are on the camera. When I see the image of your body on the camera, then I know you are there. That's how that's how we label things in life, in the world. That's how we label things. So because of that, we almost always, even though we almost identify the body with the self. Mm. When my body, when Tongkhor Rinpoche's body is there, then you will say, "Oh, Tongkhor Rinpoche is here." If my body is not there, you will say, "I'm not there." If I become invisible, then people will say, "Oh, I'm not there." If I am invisible, you cannot see me, uh, but you just hear my voice, you will say, "I'm not there." Oh, the voice is just coming from a speaker or something, but I'm actually not there. But when you see my body or the image of my body, then we start to immediately think that I am there. So in it, the things that we sort of deal with in this world is everything. The person is mistaken for the body. If you ask each anyone, is your body you? Everybody will say, no, 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 my body is not me, right? Almost everybody will say, almost any sane person, any intelligent person will say, my body and me are different because it's mine, my body, right? So it's different. Everybody knows that. But if my body does something, if my body does something incriminating, then I will be labeled, Tongkhor Rinpoche will become a criminal. If my body does something like stealing or doing some um, aggressive sort of action, if I take some aggressive action, I will be labeled a criminal. I will be like my body does something, immediately I will be responsible for it. So that's how, because we cannot see Tongkhor Rinpoche, we cannot see the person, we can only identify, we can only see the body of the person, so to speak. So therefore, so the main point here is that the body that we so much take care of and so um, endearing to us is full of pus and bone and blood and all the un uh, unclean, The body is full of unclean. So body is basically impure. Everything, that's why we cannot deal with corpse, right? Dead body. When you have a dead body, when you look at the dead body, we cannot stand. Immediately the stench comes, this and that. So only when the consciousness is within the corpse, then the corpse is called a body. When the consciousness is out of the corpse, then the consciousness is out of the body, then we call it a corpse. So the what do you call that? Uh, the differentiator between what is a corpse and what is a body is just the consciousness. When the person is within the body, it's called a body. When the person is out of the body, then it's called a corpse. You can burn a corpse. You cannot burn a body. That's how it works. So the body and the person are like identified as one. And then when the person is within the body, then we sort of take care of the body. We really we feel very endearing with the body. But in reality, that body by itself is full of unclean, filthy things. That's why when the person is outside, when the person has exited the body, then we label that body as a corpse and we bury them or we uh, burn them, right? Because by itself, the body is unclean, but we don't realize that or we are not aware of that in our day-to-day life. So that's why we take so much good care of the body. So, I mean, to a certain extent, of course, we have to take care of the body to eat well, to, do this and this and that. But if you do it too much, like a lot of the plastic surgery, I don't know, all this thing, right? Like heavy makeup, all this thing, too much that taking to an extreme, there is nothing beneath there. There is nothing, no substance, no substance. To have a good health, to have a certain Ashantideva said the body must be viewed as a boat, like a ride, like a boat, and then we must take the boat to cross the ocean of samsara. So look at the body as that. Don't look at it as something precious, something so much holy, something that you put on a pedestal, like that. So to see the body as impure. So these are the four things that one must be mindful, and also putting mindfulness at all times. Without that, then one is bound to be born in the lower realms again. As long as you do not pay attention to these five things, then you are, no matter your understanding of everything else, like you may have read so many textbook, sutras, been to all the teaching, Dharma, everything, this and that. But if you're not aware of these five sort of points, then you are guaranteed to come back to samsara and keep suffering over and over and again. So conclude, I mean, this is sort of a revision of what we studied last week. So now I will jump to today's class itself. So the Tibetan is mi suni dama yin she song de da so da me de so la dan ne min da la so mi ne de te shin de kong bo lama shen dong do gis. And so in English, form is not the self, the Buddha taught. And self does not have form, nor dwell in form, while form dwells not in itself. Thus, you must see the four remaining aggregates are empty too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So to understand that, we need to understand something called the five aggregates. Okay, so five aggregates is what makes up sort of to simplify our understanding. Let's call a person is made up of five aggregates. The Buddhism in general, okay, there are many levels of Buddhist school of thoughts. So each has a varying sort of philosophical view, but the general idea is that a person, the person like Tongkhor Rinpoche or like Mr. Hong here, so each of us is made up of something called the five aggregates. So five things that make up a person. So these five aggregates, if you look at the chat box, I shared it. So these are form, feeling, perception, mental formation, and consciousness. So these are the five aggregates. Mm. These we call them, the direct translation is five heaps. Five heaps. Something skanda. Skanda means something that is put heaped up. Like when you put a heap of rice, when you put them all up together, it's called a heap. Mm. So basically, a person is made up of five heaps. The first of the four other aggregates are not that difficult to understand, but the first one, the form, it's not that difficult to understand, but it's very easy to be misunderstand. Okay, it's not that difficult to understand, but it's very easy to misunderstand. So therefore, I want to explain what the form means. So normally when we talk about so the first one is form, and so when we say form, we usually think about a shape, right? Because form, I don't know in your local language, but in English, when you say a form, it's usually understood to be a shape. So you will think like, okay, a body is made up, a person is made up of a shape. What does that mean? So it doesn't make any sense. So to simplify the understanding of form basically refers to uh, the physicality, something physical, in the sense that the person is not physical. A person has a body, a physical sort of appearance, but that is not the person, right? So the physical appearance or the physicality of the person is something that the person possess. Okay, so, I'm putting it very lightly there. So it's something that the person possess. I have a body. I have two eyes. I have one nose, but I'm not a nose. I'm not the eye, right? So like that, the body is something that I possess. I have. Mm. And I'm not the body. So the form is the physical appearance of me, which is non-physical. I am not physical. As we talked earlier, we always identify the person, the body with the person. When my body is there, you will say Tongkhor Rinpoche is there. When my body is not there, you will say Tongkhor Rinpoche is not there, right? This goes with everything else. When you go to the class or to the office, when your body is there, your boss will say you are there. If your body is not there, you cannot say my the real me is there, but I cannot bring my body to the office. You cannot say like that. That's how world functions. So my body is the physical appearance. So form basically means that is physically there. The physical manifestation of myself is what form is. So when you say form, it's not talking about a mere shape of you. When I say my form, my feelings, my perception, my five aggregates, the first one being form. The form basically means physical. I may be psychological. The person, the person may be psychological, but the body, my body, and everything that I possess, the physical aspect of me is referred to as form in Buddha Dharma. To make it understand more clearly, to use an actual English language that is very common, is mind and matter. You may have heard of that word, mind and matter. So the person being the mind, putting it very lightly once again. And the form is the matter, mind and matter, the matter. Form basically means the matter. Form basically means the physical appearance. Why does it mean like that? Is because as a person, okay, the person, Tongkhor Rinpoche itself, you cannot see Tongkhor Rinpoche. You cannot see the person. Only, as I said earlier, only when you see the body of Tongkhor Rinpoche, then you say, oh, Tongkhor Rinpoche is there, right? So I'm just saying Tongkhor Rinpoche, but when you listen to this talk, you say your own name, okay? Like you say your own name and then use the example. So my body is not me. When my body is there, I say that I am there, but I'm not the body. So the physical appearance, my physical body is not me, right? But we always misunderstand and we misidentify that. Okay. So when the body comes into formation, then I say I am there. When my body appears in form of the camera, in front of the camera, when my body appears in front of your eyes, then you say, oh, I am there. Like when Tongkhor Rinpoche's body appears in front of your eyes, when Tongkhor Rinpoche's body forms in front of your eyes. Can you see the form, right? When
Yeah.
it forms in front of you, then you say Tongkhor Rinpoche is there. When it so the form to so not to think form as a noun but as a verb, to form, to as an adverb, to form. Physical aspect is something that is manifested. The person has not manifested. The person is without the physical body, the person cannot be seen or identified or caught or anything. So only with the body, the person can be identified. So therefore, the person, so the body is the form. It has formed already. It has manifested already. So therefore, it is called the form. So to put it simply, the form means the physical aspect of the body. All the physical aspect of the body, to the minute molecular level, to the biggest hands, head, everything is all, everything that is physical, everything that is manifested is called form.
Yeah.
So the next is feeling. Feeling is easy to understand. Feeling good, feeling bad, pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. That is feeling. And then there is next is perception. So based on feeling. So feeling comes from interaction, whether you touch something, whether you smell something, whether you hear something, some nice sound. You have a you know you say with feeling, when there's a sound that you like, you identify that as a pleasant sound, unpleasant sound, neutral sound. Based on that pleasant, non-pleasant, and neutrality, the perception sort of recognizes, so identify, puts a tag on it, like, oh, this is good music, this is bad music, this is like ordinary, like neutral music, like that. So that's perception, number three. And with that, with the perception comes the mental formations. So mental formation basically it's kind of discriminates, and it makes up thoughts and perception about it. It makes how do you call it? Basically, it discriminates these things into good and bad and etc. So when you have the feeling, when you feel something, like when you hear a music, you hear a good music or a bad music or neutral music, it just the feeling just hears it. It does not judge it. Then the perception say this is good, this is bad, this is neutral, and then based on good, bad, and that thing, uh, um, sorry, the perception labels them as um, pleasant, non-pleasant, and neutral. It labels them, and based on those label, the mental formations regard each of them as, okay, I need more of these, I need less of these, this and that. So it discriminates. So Form is what appears out, what is materialistic, what is out there. Feeling is what senses everything that is out there, and based on what you are sensing, based on things, based on what you are sensing, and also based on your karmic sort of volition, you some sound are pleasant to you, some smell are non-pleasant to you, some touch, some interactions are when you touch something, you feel you like that sort of touch. Some you touch something you don't. Some of the touches you don't like. For example, like heat, fire. When you touch the fire, you burn. You don't like. So these are pleasant, non-pleasant. All things are formed, and based on pleasant and unpleasant that you have formed through your perception, the mental formations sort of discriminates, this is good, this is bad, this is something I should avoid, etc. like that. And everything, all these three things, the form, the feeling, the mental perception, whatever is going on with that is all sort of observed by the consciousness. So consciousness is like that big boss in a office who watches everything. So everything, all the staffers, office staffers have their own individual respective sort of duties and functions to fulfill. And then there is the big boss, right, who watches over everything. So that is the consciousness. The consciousness is something that observe everything like that. So these are known as the five aggregates. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this five aggregates, a person is identified as a possessor or as the experiencer or the possessor or the proprietor of the five aggregates. Not all Buddhist school of thought accept such a thing, but in generally speaking, either the person is identified as or with or amalgamation or a gathering assembly of all these five aggregates put together is labeled as a person in general.
Yeah.
So these are the five aggregates. Now understanding the five aggregates, it'll make us easier to understand the no self nature of nature of phenomena, nature of existence, because when we understand that the self is the person or the self is labeled to the just to the assembly or the assemblage of the five aggregates. Five aggregates are when the five aggregates are there, when the five aggregates are formed, then we say the person is there. So a person is in Buddhism, in Buddhist school, there are many different Buddhist school of thoughts. There's something called the Madhyamika school, and within the Madhyamika school, the highest or the most advanced of the Madhyamika school is called the Prasangika Madhyamika, the consequentialist. So those who rely on consequential Madhyamika, basically the logic that they use, the wisdom that they use to deduce, to understand truth, understand phenomena, understand everything is through the consequential logic, consequential reasoning. So they are known as the consequential Madhyamika, consequentialist Madhyamika. So except for that Madhyamika school, Madhyamika means middle way. Prasangika means consequentialist. So every reasoning, every logic that we use, is used through a way of consequences. Except for the consequentialist Madhyamika or the Prasangika Madhyamika in school in Sanskrit, consequentialist middle way or the Prasangika Madhyamika, except for that to one particular school of thought, every other Buddhist school of thought identifies the person or the self as the formation of five aggregates. So Only one school of thought, the most advanced one, does not recognize that. Except for that, all other Buddhist school of thought recognize when you are asked to identify what a self is, then they always say that self is something that is labeled to or made up of 5 aggregates. So 5 aggregate is very important to understand the concept of no self. So Prasangika Madhyamika, or the consequentialist middle way, that's a different approach. They take a different approach to understand the self or the no self. Other than that, every other school of thought is except in this regard. So I know it's very complex, but I just put it out there so it does not become new to you. And then we will, I think in the following weeks, we will come to this topic over and over again. So it becomes familiar to your ears. So I just put it out there today. So I will go to the text now. Form is not the self. So form, understand form as the physical entity of the body, or not just the body. Yeah. The 5 aggregates is something that is within us, something that is that is associated with ourselves. So therefore, we're not talking about trees, even though form means something materialistic. We're not talking about trees or house, etc. We are talking about anything that is materialistic from the within, like my hands, my nose, my hair. All these are when we say form, this is what we are referring to. Okay, all the physical aspect and any physical aspect of myself is my form. So form is not a self, right? Form is not a self means my physical manifestation or my materialistic manifestation, my physical materialization is not the self, not me. The self does not have a form. I will explain what that means. So the self does not have a form. The self does not dwell or live in a form, and the form also does not dwell or live in the self. So by seeing that, seeing the same with the 4 remaining aggregates, so 5 aggregates: feeling, form, feeling, perception, mental formation, and consciousness, 4 of them. So you must apply the same to the rest of the 4 aggregates. That let's say the feeling is not the self, feeling does not have form, feeling does not dwell in the form, feeling of the form, the feeling does not dwell in the self, etc. Like that. So that is something that you must put into application. You must understand. So instead of saying form, I will say the body. Okay, easy to understand. And I will also use feeling. So I will use 2 aggregates instead of just 1. So so the original text just say form, but you must apply the same with the rest of the 4 aggregates. So therefore, I will use 2 of them together, form and feeling. So instead of saying form, I will say body. Then it will be easier for you to understand body parts.
Yeah.
So the self is not the self is not the body. The self is not form, right? The text says the form is not self. Sorry, the form is not the self. Self means myself. Myself means me, the person. Tongkhor Rinpoche. My body is not me. My bodily parts are not me. My feelings are not me. So form is not the self means Tongkhor Rinpoche's body is not Tongkhor Rinpoche. Feelings are not form. Sorry, feelings are not self means Tongkhor Rinpoche's feeling, emotions are not Tongkhor Rinpoche, like that. And so how do we decide that? How do we come to that conclusion? Yeah. Tongkhor Rinpoche is one. The self is just one. My emotions are multiple. I have happy moment, unhappy moment, all this up and down. Yeah. My body or my bodily parts, there are so many. My hands has finger has fingernail has different marks, etc. And then you have feet, you have eyes, all these things. I have all different body physical formations within myself. They're all multiple. The person, the self, me, Tongkhor Rinpoche, is just one. So all these person, therefore, these multiple things cannot be one single thing. So therefore, form is not self, feeling is not self, mental formation is not self, consciousness is not self, uh, uh, the perception is not the self, like that. So when I say Tongkhor Rinpoche, I'm trying to make it relatable. So you always use your own name. Like my is not form, form is not my. Like Charlene is not form, form is not Charlene, like that. You must use your own name so it makes relatable for you. Okay, uh, to make it more easy to understand, the five aggregates are like the branches of a tree, and the self is the tree itself. The branches of the tree are not there, not the tree, and the tree is not the branch because branch is multiple and tree is one, right? Like that. So this way it's easier to understand. So the first one is that the form is not, or the feeling is not the self. Form is not the self. The branches are not the tree. That's the first sort of point to understand.
Yeah.
This is easier to understand, but the next one is a little bit more difficult to understand. That is that the self does not have a form. Self meaning me, and form meaning the body. So basically that says, I don't have a body. Okay. So make sure that you say the same thing, like I don't have a body. Like self does not have a form. Form means body. Self means I. So self does not have a form. I don't have a body.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
this does not make any sense. We do have a body. So what is this conversation all about?
Yeah.
So to understand that, I will make it I will make it more relatable. So you think that you have a body, right? To have a body, to have something means that you have total control over it. If you don't have total control over it, it does not mean you have it. Basically, it's something that belongs to you, something that you can do whatever you like, whatever you want to do with it. Uh, for example, if I ask you, do you have $100 million, right? Uh, Most likely the answer is not no. But then the country that you belong to, your country, has $100 million, and the country belongs to the people. So technically speaking, the person, subject, or the citizen of that country, that nation, technically speaking, has $100 million because the country has $100 million and the country belongs to the citizens. So therefore, technically speaking, the citizens supposed to have $100 million, each citizen. But it's not the case, right? Why? Because the citizen does not have any authority to use that $100 million to whatever they like, whatever they want to do. So even though the country has $100 million and the country belongs to the citizens, right? But the citizens do not have $100 million because they cannot do anything. I mean, they have no say, no authority at all to do how to use that $100 million. Similarly, we do not have the body. I don't have my body. The self does not have the body. The self does not possess the body because the self has no control, no authority to control the body, the forms as it wants to. To a certain degree, it can, like I'm speaking to you right now. I'm using my hand gesture, physical gesture, etc., and speaking with my mouth, all lips, and all this thing. To a certain extent, I can, but beyond certain extent, I cannot. Basically, every little changes, every little sort of a movement that my body makes, yeah, like all this at a molecular level, all the changes that is happening. If I am sick, like I have cancer or kidney failure or something going on within me, I cannot do anything without relying on external treatment and etc. So basically, I don't have my body because I don't have authority or control over any movement or changes that my body, the form, the feeling, the mental formation, the perception makes. If I have my thoughts, if I have my feelings, that means I have control over my feelings. I can be happy whenever I want to be happy. I can be unhappy whenever I want to be unhappy. Is that the case? No. That means I don't have my emotion. I don't have my having in the sense of possessing it. I don't possess my emotions because I don't have any say, any control over my what my emotions are going through. So that is the second sort of a point or second statement, that the self does not possess form. The self does not possess feeling. I don't possess my emotion because my emotions are beyond my control. The moment you have control over your emotion, then you have your emotion, your feeling. The self possess the feeling. The self possess the consciousness. At this current state, we do not possess the consciousness. So yes, so it's easy to, now we understood that the self does not possess the form. The self does not possess the feeling. Basically meaning I don't possess my body. I don't possess my emotion, etc. It does not belong to me. I don't own them. Okay, easy to understand now. We already understood that part, let's say. So we don't own I don't own my body. I don't own my emotion, etc. I don't own this house, but maybe I can rent it. I live in there, right? So that is the next sort of understanding. So even though the self does not possess the form, the self dwells in the form. The self lives in the form. Okay, that is the next one. Then also we have to put into Nagarjuna is saying, or Buddha Shakyamuni is saying, everything that Nagarjuna is talking about right now, it's actually source back to Buddha's teaching. I will come back to that later. So that so you might say, okay, I don't own this house, but I may rent this house. I live in there. House meaning the body, the emotion, the perception, etc. And I meaning the self, right? So the self does not own, or the self does not possess the five aggregates, but the self lives or dwells in the five aggregates. Okay. Then once again, the same problem comes that because self is one, the self is the right foot, the right foot, left foot. The self is the right foot. So the right foot, that means the self can, if the self dwells or lives in the consciousness, the five aggregates, let's say the self dwells in the consciousness, then the self, when the self is dwelling in consciousness, it cannot dwell in emotion. The right foot cannot go into the right foot and left foot at the same time, right? The foot, like the shoe. Yeah. If when the right foot is in the right shoe, you cannot wear the left shoe. When you're wearing the left shoe, you cannot wear the brown shoe. When you're wearing the brown shoe, you cannot wear the blue shoe, like that. So that means the person or the self cannot be in emotion, can in mental perception, in consciousness, in the body, all at the same time. So, but that is not the case. We see people when a person is alive, the person is thinking, feeling, observing, everything is being done. So therefore, the self cannot be dwelling in the aggregates, in the five aggregates, neither in the form, neither in the feeling, nor in the feeling, nor in the mental perception, etc. So when we talk about the self, yeah, I'm just, to make it easy to understand, I'm just saying me or the person, okay? But in reality, we are actually talking about the no self, the lack of self, lack of intrinsic existence, no self, or anatma. So therefore, the I or the self that we are referring to here is actually the permanent, independent, singular self, not the self as we identify on a conventional level. Okay, just to make it easy to understand, I'm just using the example of me, Tongkhor Rinpoche's body, etc., like that. But in reality, the so-called self that is spoken in this text here is the independent self. We are actually trying to disapprove the existence of a self. The self that has been that has been accepted by all the philosophies prior to Buddha's teaching, Buddha Dharma, as well as something that we, even as a Buddhist, though intellectually we do not accept the such a independent, singular, and permanent self, but instinctively we still tend to believe and get stuck in that sort of self. So we're trying to disapprove, we are trying to negate, we are trying to disapprove that self here. So be mindful of that. So in that understanding, so the self is not the form. The self is not the five aggregates. The self does not have or possess the five aggregates too. And the self does not live or dwell in the five aggregates. So these three points are established now. So the last one is the five aggregates do not dwell in the self. Okay, because we are talking about a self that is permanent, independent, and singular. Because it's singular, for five aggregates by its very nature, by its very name, you understand there are five of them. If it's the self, then the self is singular. It's one, single. That is a big problem already. And once again, because the self is permanent, if it's dwelling in a permanent self, the five aggregates were to dwell in if the five aggregates were to dwell in a permanent self, then because the permanent self cannot change because it's permanent, then the five aggregates, because it dwells or it is within the it dwells in the five in the permanent self, the five aggregates also could not could not change too. And because the self is one and the self is singular, the five aggregates also should become singular. All your emotions, pleasant, unpleasant, the neutral, everything should become one. They will not, because it's permanent. If you are happy, if your emotions are happy and your happy emotions dwell in the permanent self, then all emotions should be happy from then onwards. If it's unhappy, it should always be unhappy because it's dwelling in a self that is permanent, etc. like that. So through this reasoning, the five aggregates, using these four sense of reasoning, right? The self not being the form, the self not owning the form, the self not dwelling in the form, and the form not being the self. So these four reasoning, then replicating the same reasoning to the five aggregates. So 5 times 4, which is 20. So these four logic used on the five aggregates. So 5 times 4, that's 20. So this is known as the 20 20 logical the 20 reasonings, 20 reasons used to negate the self, the existence of a self. Permanent self, like that. Yeah. So the no self,
Yeah,
understand that as the non-existent of a self. Negation of the existence of a self equates to an emptiness. So empty nature of the self, because the self is non-existence. So I see there's one question that says, if there's no self, then who controls the emotion, etc. So it's the person, okay, not the self. And so we will deal with this in the coming sort of sessions, but the person is other than the self. Yeah.
There's one on Vietnamese question, Rinpoche La. Dear Rinpoche, can I chant and I use the beat, the rosary in my right hand or not? When I chant, when I recite the mantra, when I feel painful in my hand, can I shift to the other hand or not? And when I make my baby sleep, can I lie down and sing the mantra of the Buddha or not? For example, Om Mani Padme Hum, whether or not I'm lying down and luring my baby by chanting the Om Mani Padme Hum is a transgression, a break of the vow or not? Could you please clarify?
Yeah. Thank you. That's a very good question. Don't do that, okay? If you chant the mantra and then change your hand, the rosary, to put to the other hand, all the merit that you have accumulated will be canceled out. No, I'm joking. No. It's not nothing. Something not. Yeah, you can change it. Doesn't matter. And then lying down and playing the Om Mani Padme Hum. These are very much encouraged. Okay, so if you are like just you are free, you have free time to practice, but instead you'll be out of laziness. You just lie down on bed and do your mantra or do your prayer. That is not correct. But it's time for you to sleep, right? And instead of like singing a song, or maybe singing a song is not too bad, like saying something bad about another person or thinking of something negative, if you think about the blessing of generous Kuan Yin or recite the mantra of Kuan Yin, etc., this is very, very, very beneficial, very effective. So you must do it. Yeah. So there is
luring the baby to sleep lah, soothing
yes,
the baby
you can
to
do that.
sleep.
You can do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Yeah.
There's a song very popular, like folk song in Tibetan. I just shared with in the group chat. Semyen changne mani dangwa le semsang kenne luchung lembaga. So in Tibetan, it's a very popular song. It's semyen means negative mind or bad thoughts, right? To kill, to steal, to lie, whatever. Rather than reciting Om Mani Padme Hum with a negative mindset, it is better to recite better to play a song with a positive mindset. Of course, at the end of the day, it's your thought that counts. If you have a good thought to benefit the baby, to benefit the person, you can sing a song, or if you can, to play the mantra of Om Mani Padme Hum. But the main thing is you need to have a positive thought, positive sort of mindset. Then you play the song, doesn't matter, no problem. Yeah, you can use that as a lullaby. Okay, so now we conclude and do the dedication.
Yeah. Bây giờ chúng ta kết thúc bài ở đây và chúng ta hồi hướng công đức ạ.
Gewan di nyordon da lama sangye chobyuro den jowa che kya malu kege sala ngobara sho janjo semjo rembo che maye banama geyuro keba nyamba mebara yang kone kondo pewara sho mi men se tere chen chen re se che me gen be wan bo jan be yang de bo ma de jo ma ze sang wen dong kan jin gen be zoi gen zong gan ba Loi Zon Jai Be Shai Lai Soi Wan De Loi Zon Jai Be Shai Lai Soi Wan De Tembe Ningbo Zimbe Benga Xing Namang Do Yu Gwen Lang Changju Be Lopsang Chu Yi Kiam Zui Chok Thank
you, Jiwochela.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you very much.
Xin chào tất cả quý vị đạo
Thank you,
hữu
Đức
ạ.
Hưng. I wish
Cảm
you
ơn Hưng nha. Hưng ơi,
Yeah.
hôm nay bài giảng của thầy rất là khó và rất là cảm ơn Hưng vì Hưng đã dịch rất là tốt. Cảm ơn Hưng.
Vâng. Cảm ơn bác ạ.
Bye bye.
Cảm ơn bác ạ. Hôm nay con dịch có gì chưa đúng thì mong thầy và tất cả các đạo hữu đại xá cho con ạ.
Cảm ơn Hưng ạ, cảm ơn tất cả anh chị em.
Dạ vâng ạ, xin tùy cũng được các đạo hữu ạ. Vâng.
Thank you
Thank
Rinpoche.
you
Cảm ơn
Maharajah Gautamputr.
Cảm
Thank you so much, Mr. Hung.
Thank you
ơn thầy.
Maharajah.
Really appreciate your hard work, your dedication.
Yeah, thank you Maharajah. Yeah.
Thank you.